Good evening from Washington, D.C., and thank you to those of you joining us from around the world for news from a Catholic perspective. I'm Lauren Ashburn. President Trump says the time is right for an immigration bill. Just hours before his first major policy speech, he's calling for a softening on both sides of the debate. The president told me and other television anchors at the White House this afternoon during a very cordial lunch that a bill could happen if there is compromise. And a senior White House official also suggested there could be a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those children who are brought to the U.S. illegally by their undocumented parents. The White House says the president was intimately involved in writing the speech to Congress and plans to strike an optimistic and unifying tone. He'll address progress made so far in his administration, including executive orders, and will address challenges that remain. We have team coverage tonight. Jason Calvi joins us from Capitol Hill. But first, Wyatt Goolsbee reports from the White House, where President Trump is finishing the final touches. Wyatt.
Yes, Lauren, President Trump is putting those final touches on his speech before he leaves for Capitol Hill tonight. It's not a State of the Union address, but the White House promises it will be a bold, optimistic speech with a look ahead to the next 4 years.
This is a landmark event, a message to the world in these dangerous times.
In his first address to Congress, President Trump is expected to lay out his legislative agenda. The big issues he'll talk about: increasing military spending, replacing Obamacare, and building up border security.
He doesn't issue modest orders.
Attorney General Jeff Sessions says he's ready to help the president crack down on illegal immigration.
People who come here unlawfully, who commit crimes, are going to be out of here. The law says they have to be deported, and we're going to insist that that happens.
But it will take more than tough talk to convince Congress. Republicans want more details on replacing Obamacare. Earlier this week, Trump said the health care law is a complicated issue, but he made this promise to the nation's governors.
We're going to give you back a lot of the powers that have been taken away from states and great people and great governors, and you can control it better than the federal government.
That's not good enough for Trump's critics, like former presidential candidate Bernie Sanders.
We have been debating health care in this country for 30 years, and he says, gee, who knew how complicated it was? He's maybe the only person in this country who doesn't know how complicated it is to provide health care for the American people.
The White House says meetings with healthcare executives, law enforcement, and unions have helped the president craft the policy he'll lay out tonight.
President Trump is expected to travel around the country to talk about his agenda, specifically creating jobs. We know one stop will be a major industrial shipyard in Virginia, which will benefit from Trump's plan to boost the country's defense budget by $54 billion. Lauren?
Wyatt, you just left a press briefing there at the White House. What did you learn about tonight's speech? Anything else they're talking about?
Yes, Lauren, we've learned that the White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer is on Capitol Hill meeting with members of Congress just ahead of Trump's speech. Deputy Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says we can expect to hear the president ask Congress specifically for their help on a number of the big topics we mentioned, plus help him, quote, restart the engine of the economy, plus expand educational opportunities for students. Lauren?
Thank you so much, Wyatt Goolsbee, reporting at the White House. President Trump's speech comes as Republicans fight over the best way to repeal Obamacare. So, how will the president navigate this complicated issue? Capitol Hill correspondent Jason Calvi continues our team coverage. Jason.
Lauren, conservative Republicans are slamming a draft Obamacare repeal, which was leaked last week. They say there's no way it can pass the House. Speaker Ryan admits there's controversy, but says the GOP is still on track to make good on their promise. Tonight's speech could help settle this Republican dispute.
House Republicans are huddling hours before President Trump's speech.
Trump tonight will probably lay out some of the principles. We'll see, and we're waiting to see what that is.
House Speaker Paul Ryan says the White House and Congress are working together to repeal Obamacare.
And I feel at the end of the day, when we get everything done and right, we're going to be unified on this.
But right now,
Repealed and replaced.
not all Republicans are on the same page. Representative Dave Brad of Virginia, who's a member of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, tells me he doesn't like what he's hearing.
Why don't you support this draft?
Because it's federally run health care, right? And so the feds are going to put in refundable tax credits, a new entitlement system. All of our entitlements right now are bankrupt, right? The kids won't get Medicare and Social Security in 50 years.
The pro-life issue could bring the GOP together. Republican leadership has promised the plan will also defund Planned Parenthood.
It's one of the strongest attributes, actually, because Killing children is not health care. Republicans understand that. If anything, the provision strengthens the effort tremendously among conservatives that might hesitate on a refundable tax credit.
But as Republicans get marching orders from their new leader, Democrats are ready to challenge the new commander-in-chief every step of the way.
And the question is, will there be plans and details to match the rhetoric?
And Republican senators will meet tomorrow to hash out their strategy for Obamacare. Republicans in the House meet again on Thursday. Lauren, Trump himself said this week that nobody knew health care could be so complicated.
Yeah, we just heard Bernie Sanders' response to that. All right, thank you so much, Jason Calvi on Capitol Hill. I'll be there watching as the president makes his pitch to the nation tonight. Who else is going to be there, Jason?
Well, President Trump invited families of victims killed by illegal immigrants. And also tonight, look for the Democratic women wearing white as a message of standing up for women in this country.
Jason Calvi on Capitol Hill. Thank you, Jason.